Good afternoon, and welcome to the beginning of our graduation ceremonies for the class of 2018, Waring's 39th graduating class. For those of you for whom this is your first Waring graduation, you are hopefully aware by now that today is only Act 1 of a two-day ceremony that marks the completion of these students' high school careers. For those of you for whom this is your first experience of Waring School, what we do here is in some ways very simple. We create a place, an environment that we hope has a certain aesthetic which allows our students to do what comes naturally to every one of us, to be curious, to ask questions, to wonder, to explore, to create, to fail, and to succeed. What does it take to create such a place? It requires some open air for taking photographs and identifying trees. It requires cozy corners for reading quietly, writing a short story, composing some music, memorizing a French poem. It requires stages for performing, instruments for playing, and maybe a few formal classrooms for more rigorous inquiry. It requires people around you who live with the same curiosity, wonder, experimentation, success, and failure. We call these people, by the way, teachers. But by the definition I just gave, it becomes clear that anyone is a teacher here. We are all teachers here. You, the class of 2018, have been teachers and have certainly taught us much these past several years. As a class, you have reminded us time and again of our very raison d'être. You are creative, you are curious, you are strong, you are lighthearted, you are moral, you are brave. You are the agents of your own futures, which you have shown us by owning who you are as individuals, but also by always thinking about your choices and actions in the context of the greater good of this community. You have acted from your hearts and with passion, always with others in mind, and each time you have put someone else's needs before your own, we have all been better off for it. You are a class with myriad individual gifts, strengths, and passions. Over these last several years, you have learned to shine and reflect off of each other without ever standing in each other's light and without ever casting a shadow over each other, so that you yourselves and our community as a whole have always been able to experience the full spectrum of your talents. It has been our privilege to converse with you, to play with you, to work with you, to travel with you, and to learn with you. Tomorrow, we will hear from you, and we will confer diplomas on each of you, confirming your hard work and academic accomplishments. Today, we still have a few things to say. With laurels, we will celebrate the values that we hold in common as a community, and with words of affection and admiration, we will celebrate you, the seniors, as you take off on your next great adventure. At this moment, and to lead off our recognitions, I am going to invite Tim to the podium with me for a very brief but truly exceptional moment at this time when we recognize the accomplishment of members of our community. No matter what a person's role at this school, we affirm daily that we are all learners and we are all teachers. In that same vein, every one of us may aspire to someday do such extraordinary work that we are recognized well beyond our own community.
Okay, so typically at graduation and baccalaureate, we're awarding prizes and giving words to our students. Upon occasion, we have reason to do so for a teacher. So Christian, please come up and join us. I said the same thing the other night at the spring concert, but despite my gray hairs, believe it or not, Christian taught me for 3 years. And I knew as a student, I saw and witnessed the excellence that Christian brings to each and every period she teaches as French teacher. She is all of that, superior in every way, as you know, students. We went through some interesting times, Christian, and I gave you some hard times, and here we are standing up here. Every once in a while, we have exterior validation, and this is one of those moments. And we are proud and pleased to share this with you right now. So, it was a couple of months ago, and Robin, I need to. Where is this here, Robin? A couple of months ago, I received an email. Robin and I received an email, and I'm just going to read it to you because I think it speaks for itself. Dear Monsieur Backlund and Madame Vanek, I am pleased to inform you that the Prime Minister of France, upon recommendation of the French Ministry of Education, has awarded Christiane Jedrika Taylor the distinction of Chevalier dans l'Ordre des Palmes Académiques, Knight in the Order of the French Academic Palms, for her outstanding contributions over many years to promote the French language and Francophone culture. This, by the way, they told us, is an honor rarely given to secondary school teachers, which makes it all the more significant. Christiane, you have brought great distinction to yourself and to Waring School, and we couldn't be more proud to call you a teacher, colleague, and friend. Félicitations, Christiane.
On that note, and without further ado, I would like to invite Jeff to begin our student recognitions with a few words about student leadership.
So student leadership is an integral aspect of Waring. It is fundamental to the transmission of Waring's cultural values, and it is part of everyday life at the school. Student leadership starts in core, when 7th graders play a key role in cultivating the incoming 6th graders. And it culminates senior year, when students are the leaders in such activities as tutorial, camping trip, and special day. While every student has the opportunity to be a leader each day, I would like to take a moment to recognize those students who accepted programmatic leadership opportunities. These leadership roles include, but are certainly not limited to, supporting fellow students in the math peer tutor program, chaperoning overnight trips to Montreal and Angers as trip teaching assistants, envisioning and leading an elective, captaining a sports team, teaching courses as a classroom teaching assistant in subjects like writing, art, and theater, and serving on the Student Advisory Council. At this time, would all those students who took on any of these various leadership positions please stand to be acknowledged? On behalf of the faculty and the Waring community, I thank all of our student leaders for your invaluable contributions to our school this year. Thank you.
Good afternoon. With support from my colleagues, I am pleased to present the Headmaster's Prize to a student whose highest aspiration when I first met her was to become, someday, Mrs. Tom Brady. With maturity, she has revised her goals and had far greater achievement. Sure, she's got natural talent and lots of it, but she's never content with quick insights, always seeking a stronger, deeper, more complex answer to any question she asks. As Gallaudet wrote, Girl works hard. She built on her natural talent as a writer by applying sheer, blistering hard work. She did multiple rewrites, and as a result, her work grew and deepened, became more fluid and whimsical and individual and polished all the time. She could be good without working hard, but she works hard, and she's amazing. In art, KB added, "It's hard for me to decide whether it's her voracious curiosity, her razor-sharp intellect, or her relentless drive to be better that defines her. She has a deep connection to the visual world, and her dedication to learning about her creative interests and artistic skills means that she is leaving Waring a practicing working artist. Hers is a formidable and compelling visual voice. She is an absolute joy to teach. As a debater, she's one of the best I have ever coached. Her strength transcends her near perfect competitive record. She is a role model for women in an activity that is too often dominated by male voices. She understands how to be heard and how to persuade. She also has a healthy skepticism about the value of competition, insisting first on fairness and dignity for all participants. As a teaching assistant in writing, she has become a peer to her teachers. Christiane, Madame Chevalier, wrote, "As a core writing TA, she's been more than a TA, a real colleague I could trust, knowing she would get the job done. At the end of the first term, I realized that we'd forgotten to write our course description. I emailed her on a weekend to ask if she would do it. The next day, she sent me a final and perfect copy." The whole community recognizes the complexity of her intellect. Josh Webb noted, last year she delivered a gripping speech about Virgil's representation of Camilla, a female warrior, in Book 11 of the Aeneid. She spoke eloquently, passionately, and insightfully about the way that Virgil depicts Camilla. She persuasively argued that Camilla is not a radical character because she conforms to patriarchal expectations of women. With this uncanny ability to defy convention, to force us to think beyond stereotypes and even beyond our initial critiques of those stereotypes, we might suppose that she's a Waring iconoclast. But no. Like Philip Waring, who was suspicious of schools and yet created one, our honoree is not only a great student at Waring School, but also the admissions ambassador, giving tours, interviewing candidates, writing evaluations, and talking with prospective parents about what Waring has meant to her. Shelley Morgan wrote, "After reading her evaluations, full of heart and insight, Becky and I agreed that she could be a professional admissions counselor." Our ambassador, our student, our colleague, our critic, our gadfly, our supporter, our example. Alice Sullivan, we know that you are Notre Dame, and we are happy that Notre Dame University will benefit from your presence next year. Congratulations.
The faculty has agreed this year that the prize in liberal arts is for Sophia Barreau. You see how a rainbow sits on top of the world every day? Look at a sunset. From way behind your head, blue, black, and stars give up the sky to blue, blue-green, shimmering yellow, orange, until the horizon when the sun saturates the earth line with molten fire. Rainbows rest atop the world. and cover time here on earth with a permanent shelter of beauty, under which every animal, vegetable, and mineral sits, stands, and lies down, a daily halo over all we do and say. Is it too much to make the point that the liberal arts, as originally conceived to compass 7 disciplines, correspond to the spectrum of visible light? That here in the West, in the Sunset Lands, a curriculum we designed to accompany the exercise of civil liberties, to encourage personal freedom, takes on the proportions of a rainbow? For to excel in the study of the liberal arts is to suppose liberation. We acquire skills among the liberal arts to better live among the colors and patterns and lacuna within our naked world. Pieces, colors, parts, and wholes. She who knows how to see through multiple disciplines better understands her inner situation relative to the world outside. As St. Augustine writes when he describes the marvelous beauty among the voices of the earth, a spectrum of diversity which speaks to everyone but is understood by those who hear its outward voice and compare it with the truth within themselves. The liberal arts convey a means of understanding. This understanding is, according to tradition and to those who seek to know what falls between the world and me, the path toward freedom. Glory be to God for dappled things, Gerard Manley Hopkins writes with liberality. Glory be to God for dappled things, for skies of coupled color as a brinded cow, for rose moles all in stipple upon trout that swim, fresh fire-coal chestnut falls, finches' wings, landscape plotted, pieced, fold, fallow, and plow, and all trades, their gear, tackle, and trim, all things counter, original, spare, and strange, with swift, slow, sweet, sour, a dazzle, dim, he fathers forth whose beauty is past change, praise him. The goal of a liberal arts education, to liberate the mind, to know how to live with freedom, to gain skills that give us broad access to the plurality at the heart of all that is, not only a view of the rainbow, overarching all we can know, but names for the colors, recognition of the variety and the plurality of sensory perception along an infinite spectrum of beauty. Look to our heroes for signs of the rainbow. John Henry and the brilliant, multicolored arc over his hammer-wielding shoulder. Janie Starks, pulling in her horizon from the waste of the world and draping it over her shoulder, then calling in her soul to come and see. Or Sophia Barreau, this year's recipient for excellence in the liberal arts. From sunrise to sunset, celebrating the variety of what there is to know and learning how to call the colors as she sees them.
In his book, The Gift, Creativity and the Artist in the Modern World, the essayist Lewis Hyde says that there are 2 kinds of economies. Market economies, which operate in large, complex, modern societies, and gift economies, which operate in groups of under 1,000, often in pre-modern or rapidly vanishing traditional societies. Now, I promise this is not a non sequitur. We are all familiar with market economies. They create societies where everything has a cash value for which it can be bought and sold. We live in a textbook example of this kind of economy. A gift economy, on the other hand, is built on giving. In these economies, property does not accumulate, it circulates. When you are given a gift, it is with the understanding that you must eventually give that gift away. With each regifting, the gifted object increases in value. The result is a less acute sense of private property than we all tend to have, but a greater perception of abundance. Hyde goes on to say a lot of other things that would probably appeal to the humanities types out there, but I want to focus on how well this idea of a gift economy describes the better angels of this school and, more importantly, the spirit of the two recipients of this year's Founders Prize. First, nature and circumstance have combined to bestow these two recipients with great intellectual and interpersonal gifts. A teacher describes one of them as having a mind that is wide and deep and completely unostentatious. The other as a thinker who is quiet, stolid, and marked by extreme creativity that does not heed category. But giftedness, raw capacity, even the purity of curiosity we tend to value here are not enough in themselves to create a gift economy. Remember, for that to happen, gifts must circulate, and this year's prize recipients have been very willing to give their gifts away. They are both, or have been, debaters, and they are both, according to their coach, more interested in deep knowledge than trick arguments. This earnest humility shows in their leadership everywhere. One of them was a 3-season captain in sports this year, where, I hear, he led by example and made our athletics culture stronger. Another chaperoned the Group 2 trip to Angers, and a little bird tells me he was one of the most responsible and conscientious Angers TAs it has ever been my pleasure to work with. One of these young men is a tireless campaigner for social justice, both on our campus and in our world. This November, he attended a diversity leadership conference in California. Since returning to Waring, he has asked our school hard and necessary questions about how we can become a more diverse, loving, and affirming community. Here on campus, he has reminded us all of the need to be more sustainable. He even went to great pains to verify my claim during a tutorial lunch audit that I had been reusing the same plastic bag for months on end. The other is a builder and a nurturer. He spent last summer at the Harvard Physics Department's fabrication lab, and then brought what he learned back here to our campus, where he is a cornerstone of our new makerspace, the WHIP. There, he trains 6 new students every week in how to use 3D modeling software and printers. He is also the animating force behind the recent resurrection of Waring's most venerable TV news journalism outfit, the Afternoon News. Jackson, justice glimpsed and then advocated for. That is a gift received and then circulated to increase our abundance. Hunton, knowledge gleaned and then shared. That is a gift received and then circulated to increase our abundance. It is a privilege to present you both with this year's Founders Prize. You have selflessly circulated your gifts in this community, creating spaces and changes that will mark your school for years to come. You have increased all of our abundance.
Snapshot 1. It is Halloween. Honeyed light bathes the quad. A few too many leaves still cling to the branches. The wind has died down to a gentle rustle. The only sign of last night's storm is that there are no lights on in the school. Today, there is no rush hour traffic in and out of the Grand Salle. No click-clack of cleats on pavement. You burst into this too silent afternoon in a tutu, and it doesn't matter that there's no power today, or that there was no school today. You are here, ready to run. We had started to feel drowsy in the afternoon light, but now we follow you because your energy commands us to. We are carried along in the wake of your bobbing tutu. It's for us that you are here, and you show us this by making sure you talk to each and every one of us during the run. At this moment, as at so many others, you effortlessly carried this community forward, equipped with a 2,000-watt smile, unbreakable determination, staggering organizational skills, a pair of running shoes, and a whole lot of grit. Equipped with these skills, you and your co-captain successfully lobbied for and created an MBIL Girls Cross Country League. You are, as your writing teacher said, skilled and fearless, a wild woman flying through the woods at a gallop. But you don't gallop alone. You bring us with you. Whether it's inside the not-so-fragrant walls of the bureau, where you teach your core students, inside the pages of the yearbook, or inside the conversations of a feminist lunch or Halloween costume run, you see us. You make us feel we matter. This is a tremendous gift. Next year, we'll have to find our own way forward, but you've blazed some trails that are bound to keep us on our toes. Snapshot 2. Spheres of ice cream. Circles of students. Cylinders of whipped cream. You survey your kingdom and see that all is well. 7 tubs of ice cream was indeed enough. But creating circles is a daily activity for you. You do it effortlessly, just as you effortlessly illustrate your humanities class discussions on the board or sketch the person across from you in the airport terminal. Your writing teacher said that you see the world sideways, and that this allows you to see wide and deep. I agree. I also think that looking at the world sideways helps you see circles, opportunities to come together where others see only lines. And where you don't see circles already, you draw them yourself. This year, you created Queer Club. In your own words, a safe and comfortable space for people to explore their identities, and a way to bring awareness and attention to the LGBTQ+ community within the school. In Core Winter Art, you shared your artistic passion with younger students, inspiring them to develop their own ways of looking, seeing, and creating. As a founding member of the Wearing Inclusion and Diversity Alliance, you questioned who has access to technology and internet in our community, and you pursued answers. You practiced inclusivity in your daily actions. You quietly but forcefully challenge us all to do the same. Snapshot 3. The steep steps up to the cathedral. The ramparts of the chateau. Sunset on the Bateau Mouche. Smiling faces holding pain au chocolat and pain au raisin, all captured by your lens. These smiling faces follow you through cobbled streets and up to the ramparts because they see the sureness of your step, the resolve with which you move out, out, out into the world. Your art teacher says that your strongest images are photojournalistic. This does not surprise me. You want to capture the stories of others in your wearing world, on the court, on the soccer field, or on the medieval streets of Angers. But you gather stories from much farther afield as well, through your work with the leadership program Project 351, or through Embrace, the support group you created for girls who need back braces as a result of scoliosis. Yasmin reminds me that you hosted Angers students not once, not twice, but 3 times. You have acquired multiple French families, and this year, as a TA, you had the opportunity to introduce them to your own American family. I can't think of a better way of encapsulating the way you build connections making little families wherever you go. Your writing teacher says that your fiction is fearless. You don't mess around. When you felt that there were issues of gender equity that needed to be addressed at Waring, you read testimonials, organized feminist lunches, and provided a listening ear. Armed with fearlessness, efficiency, maturity, you inspire your teammates, your students, and your teachers. We see the sureness in your step, the skill in your lens, and we follow you. On behalf of the Waring faculty and staff, it is my great pleasure and honor to present this year's Community Prize to Ella Bellin, Asher Leahy, and Julia Natale.
beginning again. You got it right, Asher. The purpose for burning is the health of the field. Nutrients return to the soil. Crop rotation of the spirit. Diversity made richer and safer because of fire. Tutorial, classes, community, all stronger, better because of you. When I needed an actor to fill a role, you stepped forward. When we needed someone to hear double, you heard, nodded, sometimes groaned, but always understood. Missing you one place, we just needed to search another, for you had stopped somewhere, bequeathed to our soil, faithfully waiting for us.
Julia, you have been a bright, hard-working, and successful student. As team captain on the field and on the court, your leadership has emphasized a team-centric approach to each match and each game. As a member of this community, when something is wrong, you've tried to make it right. Your kindness, generosity, and support for both peers and younger students have made their day a little better. Gold medal recognition from the Girl Scouts in race for young girls. Your reach has extended far beyond this campus. Service beyond self has been your consistent message and gift to all. For this, you inspire us, and we thank you.
In humanities last year, you showed a remarkable ability to find beauty and humanity in some of the most tragic texts we studied. While reading endless battle sequences in the Iliad, you reminded the class that Patroclus is most heroic when he shows his tender love for Achilles. Like Patroclus, you fill the community with tenderness when you play Debussy on the piano, photograph urban landscapes, and write poems about loved ones. May you continue to find tenderness and love in unexpected places, while sitting amidst the flies in southern France, while teaching the tutorial to make sushi, or while studying psychology in college. Congratulations.
Ella, it is no surprise to me that you are an excellent runner. You are so ubiquitous at Waring, devoted TA, hard-nosed honor student, transformer of sports leagues, tireless and compassionate campaigner for justice, that you must actually be sprinting from place to place. The more mysterious part is how you manage to do it all with so much joy. I have only been here a year, and it is already clear to me that you light up this school with something deep in who you are. Please bring that to everything you do and everywhere you go. We need it.
Talia, you brought fresh air to Waring. With a presence of heart, you've worked very hard here. You're honest and you say what you think. You're eager to take on challenging and impressive roles in theater, and you did not shy away from the challenges you faced in the rest of the program. You brought a positive, self-aware attitude to all that you did at Waring, and you do wonderful things to bring people together. As at this school, and for all of us, I'm sure you will brighten your next stage when you step under the lights.
recent midterm by stating, "It is clear that she has an inner strength. Having her in class is remarkable." We could not agree more. Your quiet confidence allows you to engage easily in new activities like Ultimate Frisbee and Arduino. While your impressive maturity enables you to connect genuinely with a wide range of people, from core students in tutorial to refugee women from SSR to the homeless while volunteering. Your wise perspective is beyond your years and empowers you to discern independently what is meaningful. We hope you know how truly remarkable you are.
Joy, 9 months ago at Convocation, you told us, do not be afraid of showing yourselves to other people, because the community here will embrace whoever you are and shape you to be a better person. I would like to flip the script and say that by showing yourself to us, you have made your community a better one. You work hard, smile wryly, and care thoughtfully, in class, with friends, and in the quiet consideration I have seen you give the experience of our tutorials' younger students. You're also a ferocious executive producer of the afternoon news. Congratulations.
In one of Ainsley's theater interns, for lo there have been many, I believe, when she was quite young, her group led an all-school meeting that involved some improv. The scene involved a stressed-out yoga instructor. It was first thing in the morning. No one in that intern or anyone else's looked exactly like they were raring to go. And it seemed unlikely that improvisational comedy gold would be forthcoming. However, as the scene escalated, and everyone remembered to say yes and the tension rose, there was finally a moment where Ainsley said, "Namaste!" with such ferocity that I almost fell out of my chair laughing. And I've never forgotten it since. Ainsley is still an actress, of course, but she is also, believe it or not, a real live yoga instructor. Like certified and everything, and there's like more things that she instructs to. In her years in our tutorial, I've been consistently impressed by her grit, her stick-to-itiveness, unlike my glasses. Ainsley consistently surprises the naysayers and the doubters and has soldiered on to the very finish. Namaste. May you, Ainsley, be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy.
Hats off to Alana, the creator. She writes books, she writes lyrics, she writes music, she sings music, she plays the guitar, she teaches us, she harmonizes with us, she arranges for us. I hope she knows that we've been listening. Alana, you intensely prioritize the space you need in order to create that distinctive time and energy that only you can identify. From there, the journey is quite personal, an introspective study that results in a conversation in the remarkable language of music. May your creative journey continue to challenge you, build you, inspire you, and enlighten you. Congratulations.
have an inner calm that sets those around you at ease. You dive into any learning opportunity with seriousness of purpose and curiosity. But calm and serious hardly define you when you are a Scottish anchor on the afternoon news, or a contestant in the first annual wearing hot sauce eating contest. Your science teacher hopes you will continue to hold the rational and the poetic close together. As you train your lens on the world around you, remember you are a scientist and an artist, a poet and a naturalist. I look forward to hearing about all you will see and discover.
In your time at Waring, you have played many parts. You have been a gangster and a prince, a Yorkshire gardener and a tormented Puritan, a poet and a physicist, a tenacious midfielder on the lacrosse team, and a stalwart tenor in the madrigals. You have also been a deep thinker capable of stepping back to see how an entire system functions. Like Dickon, you treat the world and those around you with kindness. Like Tom from Radium Girls, you are ever faithful to your scene partners, teammates, and peers. It will be agony to see you go. But I tell you earnestly that you can do 100 things. You can do anything you please.
Could be silver-haired, with a blanket, book, tea, and some football statistics. But the fuller reality is she's a dynamo, an intellectual powerhouse, a builder of Waring. If there are honors to be won, she has won them. If there are ways to live and build the school, she has done them. From plays like Arcadia and Radium Girls, to years of madrigals, to teaching core writing, to being a public face as the admissions intern. Alice is in the middle of wearing, analyzing, voicing, building, and co-creating the school. Alice, I will miss you.
It's been hard, it's crazy, confusing, wonderful, frustrating, amazing, bewildering, tumultuous, difficult, beautiful, exhausting, awful, fantastic 7 years. You've stumbled and fallen, you've picked yourself up, you've won, you've lost, you've climbed, you've plunged, you've soared. It was very seldom smooth sailing. You had to grow up quite quickly, whether or not you were ready to do so. And at certain times, you've had to call upon every ounce of courage, maturity, and perseverance that you could. We saw that you could be strong, that you could look out and ahead instead of back and inward, that you could keep going. You're kind, loyal, and loving. Breathe deep, be well, be happy.
Wizard-like, you have the power to spellbind us with the girl from Ipanema. Cat-like, you have helped each member of our tutorial to discover their inner spy and effortlessly facilitated donut making and picnicking. Your art teachers say you are quietly observant while recognizing the dramatic aspects of life. You see the world around you as connected, and this drives you to forge connections of your own making. I think Kat Judy said it best in your senior piece. You are truly a spell-casting, coffee-loving, potion-brewing, feminist icon. I hope New York is ready for you.
Louis, you are exuberant, inventive, kind, and fearless, says Gallaudet. But we also know you as a unique, eclectic member of our community, a member who marches to the beat of his own drum, a student who has made this community more diverse.
You have learned that to overcome challenges, you must meet them head on.
Your passion for music is powerful and infectious. Don't ever stop shredding.
May you continue to be brave by swimming through the calanques of life in an effort to experience all our world has to offer, no matter how formidable it may seem.
You bring so much to those around you with unbounded energy and enthusiasm, humor and intelligence. You make us laugh, and we don't always see the serious side, but it's there, just below the surface. Continue to be exuberant but thoughtful, at the center of everything but drawing others in as well. Funny, kind. Take delight in every ball you kick, every conversation you have, everything you create. Know that you're skilled, intelligent, and capable. Remember to also be practical, to be on time. I know that you will always give joy wherever you go.
Anya, during your wearing career, you have grown from a relatively shy and quiet person to a fully engaged student. Your interest in science and your work at internships have made you a strong voice at school. We marveled at the magnificent illustrations you shared to bring your note cards and assignments to life.
Your peers wrote, if I were to describe you in 4 words, they would be strong, powerful, humorous, and kind. The way you and Laura act as a unit is an incredible example of friendship. You're a role model to the rest of us. Quote, we will miss you as you take on your next adventure.
Sophia, you make wonderful marks in conversations, marks in the margins of your books. You're on a search, and careful thinking marks the pages you labor to write true. You are a woman with grit and determination who wrestles angels, not just powers, but principalities too. Worthy intellectual, fine advocate for what is good. May genuine sympathy continue to be yours, and may it lead you into wisdom concerning even the most difficult questions. May you be well. May the peace within you continue to wake your voice with song.
Hunton, varsity captain in soccer, basketball, and lacrosse, filmmaker from Penny Diggers to the afternoon news, singer with abandon, kindly giant to the little kids, French poetry reciter, Centerville Elementary School makerspace co-creator, junior trip Sunset Road game maker, 3D modeling and printing teacher. When there are people to bring together, Hunton creates a way. When there is a question to be investigated, Hunton dives in fully. From Roman agriculture to the theories of John Dewey, Hunton investigates, writes, ponders, lives, and shares it. Philip Waring would be proud. Hunton Russell, the self-motivated learner and community creator. I will miss you.
Sasha, last year, too many of our humanities classes devolved into an argument about which Homeric hero you most closely resemble. Today, Zeus renders the following verdict. On the athletic field, you are Paris, sometimes called Alexander, the beautiful archer, scoring long-range goals with pinpoint accuracy. In the classroom, you are Odysseus, the great tactician, a mastermind when debating capital gains or completing problem sets. And in your finest moments, you are Priam, the oldest, wisest, and most compassionate Trojan, tutoring students at Centerville, leading all school meetings on political protest, and helping your peers with lab projects and debate cases. These are the deeds that give you class.
Words sitting in a cathedral on junior trip in Al. Did quite a bit of cathedral sitting. There's a mother in the church with a baby on her waist. She's walking soft and steady, though he weighs down on her pace. Every step takes her through history, every step leads him to slumber. Someday he will make this journey, but for now it doesn't matter. No, sweet child, there's so much that you don't know. Look at everything you have yourself, it's the only way to grow. Oh, but right now you can close your eyes. You are just fine. It's alright to close your eyes. You are just fine. And the tourists walk in circles, surely pondering religion. Every stone and every pillar, all the fountains made for wishing. I don't know if I can help them, I don't know what to believe in. Hard to tell if lies are truthful, or if truths are just my dreaming. You know, sweet child, there's so much that I don't know. Look at everything, I have to see myself. It's the only way to grow. Oh, but it's alright to close my eyes. Once in a while, I still can close my eyes. Once in a while. There's a question that keeps pestering us all. It could be the reason we're all standing in this dusty hall. In our looking we are learning, just as we have done for eons. And if we can't find the answers here, we'll try the next cathedral. So, sweet child, there's so much that we don't know. Look at everything, we have to see ourselves. It's the only way to grow. Oh, so please don't let us close our eyes. There is no other time. Please don't let us close our eyes. There is no other time. Please don't let us close our eyes.
What makes you is an abundance of activities and people. You have learned to actively seek and find happiness, optimism, and joy. When we allow it, life pushes us out of our comfort zones, and we often do our best learning in this place of slight discomfort. Much like you witnessed change at the beach, the tide, the winds, the sand, you will change. We encourage you to trust your instincts. Know that you are making an impact and enjoy the changes you will experience in yourself. Please continue to pursue happiness and maybe even discomfort with zeal while honoring what matters to you. Congratulations.
Laura. Through the years, Tim and I have enjoyed your presence in tutorial. You've grown into an accomplished woman who is a force for good at Waring and in your larger community.
Your fellow 2Ts said, Laura is an absolute ray of sunshine. She has the ability to light up the room with her smile and her personality. She's so sweet and always optimistic. She's easy to talk to, and she makes an effort to get to know everyone. But we know there's also a tough Laura, and when you see an injustice, you can be a fierce advocate. Today we say goodbye, but you will always have room at Waring.
He is one of the best learning partners anyone could ever have, says Jim.
Tiffany says that Stefan is one of the stronger members of Chorale. He is is attentive, engaged, helpful, and maintains a positive attitude.
Tim Averill shared that there has never been a time when Stefan has not been willing to pitch in and provide leadership for our debate team.
Stephanie is proud to have such a committed and passionate photography student where she says, the darkroom is his happy place.
Stefan, thank you for your dedication and contributions to helping maintain the ethos of our school. You are enthusiastic, dependable, selfless, delightful, and oftentimes sharing a smile with all of us. Stefan, we sure will miss you.
Without question, you are guided by questions both wonderful and deep. It is a joy to see you think deeply and discover what is true. The way you seek to know and know until you find that which gives you the confidence to say what is on your mind. May words continue to fill your ears. May you continue to hear in them what truths they speak and discern what they conceal. May you be well. And may you find a place where your deep joy meets the evident needs of our complicated and wonderful world.
So much about your time at Waring has been about trying to juggle all your many responsibilities, about trying to get everything done, about balancing family, work and school. There was so much to figure out, so much that others took for granted that you had to find other ways to do. You did it with unfailing grace and dignity. You never said it's not fair when obstacles appeared in your path while others jogged ahead on smoother ground, and you kept going however tired and frustrated you were. You remained true to your essential self, even when you weren't quite sure who that self was. Thank you for all that you brought to us. We wish you a smooth path and clear skies as you go on from here.
Like George Washington, Ben Franklin, St. Augustine, you invented yourself, became the student, teacher, son, friend you always wanted to be. In addition to intelligence, style, wit, plus faithful cooking of rice and beans, your list of good habits now includes virtue inside the classroom and out. Jackson, you are in many ways Waring's foundation. For the past 4 years, you have been among our best, full of conviction as well as passionate intensity. You were both Falcon and Falconer, working diligently to make sure that we live up to our ideals, to make sure that our center will always hold.
Yesterday during our last tutorial, we had check-ins going around in a circle, and as each person's name came up, as each person's turn came around, Eli would introduce them the way that I just introduced him. Eli comes to tutorial lunch every week with the world's largest lunchbox. Unfortunately, it isn't large enough to get us any stickers from sustainability, but I think technically it's a cooler. His lunch doesn't seem that large, but it almost always requires the microwave. So +1 for lunch boxes, but -1 for non-microwave lunch. The lunches are invariably interesting. This week, spicy yams. What I admire about him is that Eli can talk to anyone in the tutorial about seemingly anything, from the deepest thing to the most trivial. He's kind to everyone. He's incredibly helpful. Now that Eli's graduating, we may actually need to hire someone to replace him. He's slow to complain. He's quick to smile. He's witty, he's creative. But here's the thing I admire about him most. He's humble. He doesn't show off his wide-ranging knowledge, his ability as a reader, his passion for learning and to help others learn. He just does it. He is, in fact, the kind of person that I aspire to be. So I'm grateful that I get to say this to you right now.
Allie, multiple students have said that your all-school meeting on your Alaska trip was one of the most memorable of the year. The reason for this is twofold. First, the trip was simply awesome and truly impressive. But second, and more importantly, the meeting allowed the community to see you. As you leave Waring, we encourage you to remember this and keep letting yourself be seen. From orchestra to sustainability to tutorial, we see you, and we know how much you have to offer. So don't be afraid to speak up in class. Share your ideas, pursue your passions, and always continue to be adventurous.
Richard, the soul who speaks to us and with us, who sings to us and with us, and does so with a profound clarity and sincerity. We see truth and consideration when we look at Richard, a mature, humble, professional comrade who joyfully finds time for play. May you continue to seek balance in all of those beautiful activities that bring you pleasure and that create you a unique being. We encourage you to seek adventure, to embrace independence and opportunity, and to contemplate the unfamiliar. Congratulations.
Wow. Seniors, along with the rest of the school the other day, we had the chance to sit down and watch a few minutes of Jose and Philip Waring, some footage I had taken in Tampa, Florida just a few weeks ago. The school this year is celebrating our roots, as all of you should know, many of you know, and that was the theme of our auction. And so I was able to travel down to Tampa and get some video footage of Philip and Jose. Every time I speak with them, every time I sit down with them, and many of us remain very close with the Warings, we are reminded that there was never anything overly complex about the idea of Waring School, or La Petite École at the time in 1972. For all has really always been about good learning through good living, echoed repeatedly in the words of both Philip and Jose. And they talk about what's inalienably at the root of this place, that the spark, the impulse, the creativity and curiosity, all the aspects of learning must come first and foremost from the learner. That idea may seem obvious, self-evident, and yet, as Philip and Jose knew so well, it takes courage as parents and teachers, all of us, to step away and let that process take place, to abandon control, and to make the space and time for learners to learn. Well, with you, it doesn't take so much courage. You are marvelous. You have been amazing. We're so proud of this senior class, this class of 2018. And I was taking notes. You might have noticed I was taking notes during some of our tutor remarks. And I noted the following adjectives. Well, at least some of these are adjectives. You'll pardon the fact that they're not all the same parts of speech. Here's what I picked up. Gritty, burning, diverse, service-oriented, tender, transforming, needed, not practical, not on time, honest, self-aware, independent, ferocious, sayers of yes and, harmonizers, scientists, artists, builders, advocates, co-creators, Scots. So speaking of taking notes, I'm going to conclude with a little homework assignment that, as Philip would have said, you're free to do. You may choose to do this. And I assume you're coming back tomorrow. You're free to come back tomorrow. And the homework assignment stems from an opportunity, an experience I had with these seniors, actually 4 or 5, the juniors and seniors, about a week ago with 4 or 5 humanities and Joshua and Jim, in which I got to come into class with Pavel Yurka and sing a song, work on a song with 4 or 5 and talk about the song's lyrics. That song is American Tune by Paul Simon. And it's a song I love. I've loved for many years. And the juniors and seniors have been working on American Studies this year. And I thought for all sorts of reasons it was apropos. So if you have a few minutes tonight, even if you know the song, go and listen to it, American Tune. And tomorrow in my brief remarks, I promise they'll be brief, because we have lots of seniors to hear from. I'll talk a little bit about the song and how I see it connecting to where these folks are at, where we're at. So thank you. Seniors especially, get some rest this evening. There's a nice long day for you tomorrow and then many days beyond. And let's have another warm round of applause for this class. And meditate a bit on tomorrow as we listen to some concluding music by Kathleen.